We start? Yeah. Mike Hamilton in the house on the wheels of steel, looking like Wolfman Jack.
Doing the best I can.
Mike's getting us all squared away here. I am Pete Sousa. This is the Pete Sousa Show, sponsored by, we got a bunch of sponsors. We just had our folks, by the way, we're presented by Slovakics, but we had our folks from Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. Live and let live, but that guy he was on my corner. But we had the good people from Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. They were in here today, and doing some stuff with them as we continue to grow our relationships here with local businesses and sponsors and continue to grow the show. Thank you to everybody who's checking us out. We continue to kind of rock and roll and climb the charts numbers wise. I'd also, if you want to watch this, that's great. Keep watching on our YouTube channel here, but feel free to go ahead and like and subscribe, right? Mm-hmm. To the Pete Sousa Show. I never say that, Mike. Also, the payoff. If you got somebody in your life who's struggling with addiction, I want you to go there to the payoff with Pete, Stories of Sobriety. Check that out.
Payoff's a great show.
You're supposed to be on, dude.
I'm supposed to be on today.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah, I told you I would. Nice. I don't back out.
Mike is sober, by the way. We're not just like reaching, right?
Yeah.
Mike, the Slovakics logo is missing on the screen.
Uh-oh. Let's get that.
How about that? We got somebody dialed in.
There we go, Pete.
Is it up
Slovakics? I stop every single time I go through West. Like every single time.
Dude, so do I.
And I used to work in West. So I taught art at West High School, middle school. And
you did?
Yeah, for about a year. A lot of these kids.
When did you teach art at West High School?
It's been a little bit, but yeah, I did that. Left there and went back to TSDC, which was a mistake. But West, best place I ever taught. Wonderful people. And I would definitely cross the highway and go to Slovakics rather than any other place.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Loose meat, baby. Loose meat kolaches with the cheese. Woo, baby.
We are going to do a remote show from Slovakics coming up here in a little bit, which we're pumped about doing that. We're also going to do one at Socorro Family Ford. So we're getting out and about in the community, as we like to say. Thank you to OU Bunny for checking in with us and keeping us honest. Sponsorship.
Yeah, thank you, OU Bunny.
Yeah, hit the comment section.
Not sure who that is,
or just go straight text. Come on,
I don't know who it is.
It's Christy.
Oh, well, thank you, Christy.
Yeah. Just when I thought we had graduated from friends and family as far as who was watching, we're reminded.
She's doing a great job with the Slovakics thing. Hey, did you notice that it stands out a little more now?
Oh,
like you asked me to.
Thank you very much. I got a note from Robert West at KWTX, and he said, "Hey, that Slovakics logo should pop a little more.
Yeah,
let me know if you need help with that." So
let me know if you need help with that.
I don't know what that meant.
Do I take offense to that, or do I thank him?
No, thank him.
Okay,
thank him.
You got it.
So it's funny you mentioned the friends and family stuff. I remember. I'll tell you a quick story before we get into the events of the day. So I was working for the Charlotte Bobcats, and we were terrible. But we had a bunch of great players who weren't getting in any trouble. And in truth, we were building a nice organization. There was a lot of intention, obviously there should be, but from our president, Ed Tapscott, and Bernie Bickerstaff, and we were saving a lot of money on the salary cap. We had built a team that was competitive. But, at the end of the day, you're an expansion team, so you're not very good. In the second year, we started to get better. And our assistant coach, JB Bickerstaff, who is now a head coach in the NBA, JB played at Minnesota. He played at Oregon State, and then he finished up at Minnesota. When he was at Minnesota, he played with a guy named Kevin Burleson. Kevin Burleson, his older brother, is Nate Burleson. Obviously, Nate, his star, has completely just rocketed, right? Now he's on CBS Mornings. He's on the NFL Today. You can find him just about everywhere. He calls games on the NFL Network, but he was also, before that, a great wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. And it's understandable why Nate has accomplished so much, because he is an incredible person. And his brother Kevin was an incredible person. Now, remember, Kevin played with JB Bickerstaff at Minnesota. So it's late in the season, and we needed a point guard, right? The Charlotte Bobcats did. So Bernie Bickerstaff acquires Kevin Burleson. And when I tell you, there was no NBA team looking to hire or to sign Kevin Burleson. It wasn't happening. So, but we signed him. Kevin actually started to get minutes. I remember he would come in. We had Brevin Knight was our point guard, and Brevin actually was playing out of his mind. He had a great couple of seasons in Charlotte, and Kevin was like the third point guard. But injuries, whatever. Sometimes that guy ends up playing. I remember Kevin didn't make a shot for like the first 3 months of the season, and it kind of became a running joke. Kevin was the best guy in the world, and he was probably a decent defender. Other than that, he was a liability on the basketball court. Love Kevin, love his family. Bernie Bickerstaff was an amazing basketball mind, but this was a situation where he saw a quick fix. He knew that Kevin wouldn't be a problem. I don't think he planned on him playing that much, but injuries and other things forced Kevin into action. And we had this scout, right? His name was Kenny Williamson. Kenny was a New York guy. He'd been with the Knicks for a very long time. He loved Bernie, and he was a great scout. God rest his soul. If you came in contact with the Eggman, that was his nickname, you know exactly who I'm talking about. The Eggman was a special dude, and I was lucky as a young PR guy to just be around the Eggman and some of his amazing stories about New York basketball, about scouting some of the best players of all time. He had seen it all. And at one point in time, I was privy to a conversation where Eggman was talking to another front office executive about the state of affairs with the Bobcats and, the Kevin Burleson acquisition. And I don't think Eggman liked where things were going. And he just looked at the guy and he looked down at the ground. He said, man, this friends and family shit, it's got to stop. It's got to stop right here. We're all going to be looking for jobs. And truth be told, it did stop. I don't think Kev finished the season with us. Maybe he did, because I do remember doing like off-season caravans with him. But anyways, Kevin Burleson, an amazing guy. Probably not the most amazing basketball move. Mike, can we turn that light on up there? I mean, I need all the help I can get, right? Former TV guy. That's actually a little better, man. All right. So we got the light going now. And
Christy, please don't kill me.
Trust me, she knows I need all the help I can get, but she knows you're dealing with me. I would also want to talk today about Jerry Jones. And the reason I want to talk about Jerry Jones is there's some new audio coming out of Dallas. Jerry does a weekly radio show, which he's been doing for a very long time. And Jerry Jones can take this interview wherever he wants. He does it now with the Cowboys flagship station. That's the station that carries the Cowboys games. Now, so keep in mind, the Cowboys are a big ticket item, obviously in Dallas, and they're huge to have on your airwaves. If you have the Cowboys on your airwaves, you can that sponsorship sells itself, and I can't even imagine the astronomical numbers it goes for. So Jerry is having a good relationship with Jerry Jones is important to these guys on this station. But the Cowboys, as they've been outscored 75-0 in the first half of their last 4 home games. This is a team that didn't lose a home game in the regular season all last year. Got annihilated in the playoffs by Green Bay, and then it's just been hapless at home specifically since the end of last year. But let's listen to Jerry Jones take these guys to task who are asking him hard questions about the roster right now.
This is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over all the reasons that I did something and I'm sorry that I did it. That's not your job.
Well, my job is to ask
why.
Get
a job, or I'll get somebody else to ask these questions, man.
Jerry, we're trying to figure out why the team is.
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. You're not going to figure out what the team is doing right or wrong. If you are, or any 5 or 10 like you, you need to come to this meeting I'm going to today. There are 32 teams here. You're geniuses.
Jerry,
okay? Y'all really think you're going to sit here with a microphone and tell me all of the things that I've done wrong and without going over the rights.
All right, so that was Jerry Jones, 82 years of age, 2 days after his birthday, where the Cowboys were annihilated, right? They fall into 3-3. They lost 47-9 at home against Detroit. That was Shan and RJ. I can't believe we're still marching out these radio names. Shan and RJ, every day on Odyssey's 105.3 The Fan. I mean, look, if somebody were like, hey, we'll give you a great living and you can host a show in Dallas and it's going to be Pete and the Man. I mean, so long as I wasn't the man, I might be okay with it, but it's still kind of crazy. I have a couple thoughts about that. My first thought is, look, you want to poke the bear. Hey, like this all is part of the deal, right? Like if you want to ask hard-hitting questions to someone like Jerry Jones, who will give you a little bit, right? And who in a certain kind of mood, which I'm sure you know when you can poke them and when you can, if you've been covering them for long enough, you can kind of pull that off maybe, especially after a win but this team is in bad shape right now. And these guys, some of the folks on talk radio, some of the guys who do what I do, and I've spoken about it here many times, and I spoke about it with Cam earlier in the day. Like there's so much. I know there is so much we don't know, right? And everybody loves. It's almost now to the point where it's like, come up with something else besides like Jerry Jones has to go. That's me talking. That's not like conventional wisdom. Like, look, the team last year was like 14-2 or 14-3. Like, and I might have gotten that record wrong, but I think that's right in the regular season. And they lost in the playoffs. The year before that, the team was good. I mean, look, every year for the past 3 years, I think they've won at least 12 games. That's a good, like the pieces are there. Like, I don't want to hear like they're 3-3 right now, and they have gotten annihilated, and it has been embarrassing this season at home. But like the fact of the matter is, like, let's stop, come up, give me something new other than the Jerry Jones. If Jerry Jones is the guy who is bringing all this talent to town, then like obviously he's doing a good job. Like I get it. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 1997, I think, right? Super Bowl 30 with Barry Switzer, which is a great article on ESPN.com.
Greatest coach ever.
Switzer?
No, luckiest coach ever. Sorry, I misstated myself.
First, he was an amazing college coach. Probably, wasn't necessarily the perfect guy for that job. And I'm not saying that Jerry Jones is perfect. I mean, obviously, he's got a huge ego. He lets that get in the way of prudent business decisions from time to time. But, I mean, the guy is terribly successful. And what he's done with the Cowboys as far as making money is ridiculous. Now, I heard someone say the other day, I think it was Tony Kornheiser, and this was a pretty good point. And Tony said, look, I believe that Jerry Jones is addicted to the attention, and people are always talking about his Cowboys teams, and the Cowboys are always in the news. And I don't think that Jerry's addicted to that and kind of saying, screw it, as far as the football product is concerned and taking that over the football product. I think two things can be true at once. I think that he is addicted to the attention. I think that the Cowboys are a drug for Jerry Jones. And they're a pretty strong drug, I would imagine, because everybody's always talking about the Cowboys. The Cowboys lost to the Lions on Sunday, and the next day, ESPN First Take spent the first 20 minutes of their show talking about a Cowboys team that had lost. I mean, there's something to be said for that. Now, when it comes to Jerry Jones, I think that he has put the talent in place. Maybe some of his coaching decisions have been suspect. They have been suspect, right? But I'm not here. I'm not here for it. Like, let's sit here and annihilate Jerry Jones. Yeah, he could have made the roster better in the offseason. He didn't. And there is a little bit of delusion with that. But every year we're talking about the Cowboys being one of the best teams in the NFL. The Eagles with Jeffrey Lurie, I can just speak from stuff that I've had a front row view to. They found a way to win a Super Bowl, and he hadn't been around for that long. The previous owner to Jeffrey Lurie was Norman Brayman, a car salesman. And he was not the best owner, right? But he got out of the way. And I think that's the whole point with Jeffrey Lurie. Like, these guys are getting out of the way. Jerry Jones is making football decisions, but those football decisions are putting people in place, and they're getting so close. So I just I don't know. I think it's just tired that the old, like, it's Jerry Jones's fault. Like, let's get rid of Jerry Jones. It's like, come on, give me something else. Like, he's not Donald Sterling. And, he probably isn't Jerry West or Jerry Buss either, right? But he's somewhere in the middle. And I think that there's just we're a little too, everybody's it's become easy now, and it's tired. And those two local radio hosts, I'd be interested to see what happens, because I've been in that position before as a media member where, it's easy to ask, and I don't really do this because, one, I don't love confrontation. If I loved confrontation, I would have been an investigative journalist, because I find that stuff fascinating. I think that one of the reasons I am ultimately drawn towards sports and, I love calling games is because, one, I think I'm pretty good at it. And two, it's a celebration, and I like celebrations. I got sober, and I wouldn't still be sober if it wasn't fun being sober, right? It's a blast. And so I drank because it was a quote unquote celebration, right? So it kind of all comes together as far as, like, I like football, I like sports, I like the celebration aspect of it. It's the toy department, and it's a lot of fun. But you have to be careful when you like maybe hide behind a microphone and you ask these tough questions, that you're going to get pushback like that. I haven't heard Jerry Jones explode, or maybe he has. I'm sure he has. But he can't threaten to take their jobs, like the guys from the Dallas Morning News, or like Mosley, and Ed Werder, like those guys who have covered the team, whether, Mosley was on the beat for the Dallas Morning News as he was for such a long time, or ESPN Central Texas, or Ed Werder working for ESPN, or now WFAA. Those guys both have the Doomsday podcast, which you can hear right here on the Rogue Media Network. But I don't know that Jerry has undressed them like that. I'll talk to Matt and find out, but those guys got undressed because at the end of the day, he's probably paying a portion of their salaries through the Cowboys relationship with that radio station. So Shan and RJ are, they're getting a lot of run. I've never heard the show. I'm sure it's pretty good. I'm sure they're really talented, but they tried to take the owner to task, and Jerry wasn't having it. And I will tell you that I don't think that Jerry is all the way wrong. I mean, clearly he's a guy who's pissed off. He's having a bad day. And, what do you expect him to say? So, hey, how about them Cowboys, right?
Can I ask you a quick
week? Yeah,
can I ask you a quick question?
Mike Hamilton, everybody.
So, I watch all of the Cowboys games. I am not a fan of theirs, but my wife is a huge fan. So we end up watching all the games. Plus, we live here, and so, I mean, it's part of the deal.
And you do the Doomsday podcast with Matt and Ed afterwards.
I do. Yeah, I do. Great guys. And then, so I told my wife the other day, and maybe this is obvious to everybody out there, but me and I just, had a moment where I could think clearly, but their success is their whole problem. If they weren't so successful, they would probably be better by now. You understand what I'm saying with that?
100. That is a great point,
because they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
They're America's team. Well, number one, drop that. Number two, they're just successful enough to never get a good quarterback. I mean, how bad are they going to have to tank to finally get their guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can't get out of their own way is what the issue is. And so you end up paying two guys, and then you hear nothing but that about these two guys. Yeah. And then you pay nobody else because you can't really afford it necessarily.
Yeah.
and then you can't go to the draft. So, I mean, where is the well that you choose from?
Yeah,
you
and
know?
I don't know that the America's team was bestowed upon them by NFL Films decades ago because they did a Dallas Cowboys highlight film, and it was when the Cowboys were doing so well, and they called it America's Team, their yearly highlight video in the 70s, and it stuck, right? And for good reason. They were a perennial power throughout the 70s and into the 80s, and then once again when Jerry bought the team. But I understand what you're saying as far, and even from an ownership standpoint, like there is an argument to be made, like, hey, they're always making money hand over fist, like most NFL teams are, but the Cowboys are making a ridiculous amount of money. They're probably one of, I think, with the Yankees and maybe another organization, the most lucrative organizations in pro sports. You throw in like one of those soccer teams, but that's a good point, Mike.
Well, thank you, Pete.
There you go. Wolfman Jack weighing in. Yeah. All right. We'll be back. We got Cam Stewart coming up. And then later on, we're going to talk MLB playoffs with our reporter on the scene. Nick Pict is in the Bronx for the Yankees. Yankees win last night. They're up 1-0. Mets and Dodgers tied 1-1. Cam Stewart coming up. The Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.